This is my laptop, and this is the cord. Is it correct to say my laptop's cord or the cord of my laptop? Can we show possession with inanimate nouns? That is, a noun that doesn't refer to a living thing. I'll tell you the answer by the end of today's lesson.
English with Jennifer.
An apostrophe helps us show possession in English. So Jennifer's computer and the teacher's computer are both correct. It's mine. I own this computer. The same is true for animals. We can talk about a bird's nest or the lion's roar. And when two people own something together, we still need an apostrophe S. For example, Alex and Natasha's playroom, the children's playroom. The rule changes when we have a plural noun ending in S, or when two people own different things, similar but different. Let me show you some examples.
Which of these two phrases about the playroom refers to two or more children? The first one. When you have a plural noun that ends in S, just add an apostrophe to show possession. The kids' playroom. Look at these next two examples. Can you easily tell which one means that the children have separate rooms? The second one, right? If I say Alex and Natasha's room, it means they share a room together. But Alex's and Natasha's rooms means they each have their own.
So now let's talk about inanimate nouns. Those are nouns that don't refer to living things. They aren't names of people or animals. Do inanimate nouns have possessive forms? Or can they? Yes. Can we use apostrophe S with inanimate nouns? Yes again. The big question is when? When is it correct to use apostrophe S after a noun that doesn't refer to a living thing? Let me show you 4 cases when it's common to do this. We use an apostrophe S when a noun refers to a group of people engaged in some kind of activity. It's a collective activity. Here's an example. My home right now is in Boston, but I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh is a big sports town. Pittsburgh's love of sports is seen at every sporting event when fans wave their terrible towels. Yes, I still have my black and gold towel. I just said Pittsburgh's love of sports. Why? Because I'm not talking about the city as a place, but I'm talking about the sports community, a group of fans. So they're engaged in a collective activity. Pittsburgh's love of sports. For that same reason, I wouldn't talk about Boston's weather. I'd probably prefer to use the weather in Boston, because in this case, I'm not referring to a group of people. I'm just talking about a geographical place.
Speaking of collectivity, don't forget that we have a whole category of collective nouns. A collective noun refers to a group of people, and it functions as a unit. So consider these examples: the family's choice, the jury's decision, the committee's agenda. These groups own something together. They share something together. And we show this with an apostrophe S.
We use apostrophe S when a noun refers to a time and we need to express what we associate with that time. I said I'd give you an answer by the end of today's lesson. We often use a possessive form with today, yesterday, this year, and other time words to show what we associate with that period of time. Here are some examples.
Now, tonight's top story. Let's take a look at this year's best movies. As you'll recall at last week's meeting, so in all three examples, it's about matching information or a topic to a time period.
We also use an apostrophe S with measurements. The noun refers to a period of time in order to help us measure something.
You'll understand once you see examples of how a time word helps us measure an amount. Try answering these questions. How much notice do you need to give an employer when you plan to quit your job? You usually need to give 2 weeks' notice. Do you know how much a landlord usually asks a tenant to pay in advance? Often you need to pay 2 months' rent. That's for the first and last month. Does a company pay anything when a worker gets laid off? Usually, yes. You might get 1 month's pay, for example. Or if you've worked at the company for many years, you may get 6 months' pay. So remember, we can make a time word possessive to show an amount.
Finally, we use an apostrophe S with an inanimate noun when we're referring to parts of a whole. Here are some examples. The school's 2 campuses. The Titanic's watertight compartments. The hotel's 200 guest rooms. So let's get back to my first question. Should I say my laptop's cord or the cord of my laptop? It's a trick question. I probably wouldn't say it either way. I'd probably use my computer cord or the cord to my laptop. Don't forget that prepositions help us express relationships, and in this case, to nicely shows a connection, the cord to my laptop. But I also said my computer cord, computer cord. Nouns can modify other nouns. They're called noun modifiers. Let me show you some more examples.
What do we call the nurse who works in a school? A school nurse. What do we call the speakers in a car? The car speakers. What do we call the sink in our kitchen? The kitchen sink. Now compare these phrases. Here's one you saw earlier. Pittsburgh's love of sports. Remember, this use of Pittsburgh referred to a group of people in the city. Similarly, we can talk about Chicago's hockey team. the people have organized a team. But when we name the team, we simply say the Chicago Blackhawks, without an apostrophe S. The name just focuses on the hometown, where the team is from. Does that make sense? Just note this pattern. For names of sports teams, simply state the city without an apostrophe S.
Let's wrap up with some questions for discussion.
What were some of last year's best movies? Do you know the name of Pittsburgh's hockey team? How about New England's football team? Can you name one of Hawaii's top beaches? Can you guess what 1 year's earnings are for the average professional baseball player? If I've made you curious with my questions, why don't you try searching for the answers online?
That's all for now. Thanks for watching and happy studies.